Hello everyone, Nerdleen here, and today we're going to be ranking all of the outposts for the Edain Mod. If you don't know all the outposts, you don't know what they're all capable of or what they all look like, you will by the end of this video. So let's get into number 18. So, for number 18, I have decided to choose the Imladris Fortress for three reasons. Firstly, it has not been changed since the Edain Mod came out, which is a bit unfortunate, but is understandable because it's on a sub-faction that can only be shown on certain maps when you play as Gondor. Secondly, you only get Glorfindel and his Wind Riders, which, sure, Glorfindel's a good hero, but the Wind Riders are awful. They really just don't have any real capabilities as elite cavalry. You might as well just get Arnor Cav, they're definitely better. And thirdly, the upgrades are subpar at best. You get a healing aura, which Arnor just gets base. You have Concealing Fog, doesn't give you any benefits since your rangers can hide in trees anyway, and the rest of your army is fully clad in mail that is ready to just beat anything into submission. You can get a discount on your upgrades, which you already get from your blacksmith. Yes, you can double down on it, but it's still not worthwhile. And then the last ability is it gains increased defenses against melee attacks, not even invulnerability to melee attacks. So sadly, this gets put at the very bottom. It just gets a straight down thumbs down from me. And I also tested these Wind Riders against Warg Riders, against a Warg Lair. The whole unit died to a Warg Lair. Let that sink in for a moment. Next on the list at 17, I've put the Lorien Fortress. What's meant to be the basic outpost for Lothlorien is actually really, really bad. It has no real versatility. It has versatility, mind me, but it has no uniqueness to it. You can get all these different upgrades, but it doesn't generate any extra resources for your time, for all the money you're spending. All you get are the same units you get from your basic fortress. The heroes are the same. The upgrades are the same. And also, you can't give the archers that defend this place silver thorn arrows. That makes it really hard to defend. And it's one entity. You lose it, you lose everything. You don't get everything back. It just doesn't have that factor that you really need in an outpost to make it worthwhile. Build it if you want and see the results for yourself, because I have to say it's just another big thumbs down for me for this fortress. It could be a lot better. This one might be a little bit surprising considering all the buffs it's been given, but unfortunately the Tower of Sorcery still just falls a bit short. Originally only just buffing the sorcerers, now it also gives a spellbook speed reduction, so you get them back quicker, but that's still a small niche thing. You can then also debuff enemies around you near the Tower of Sorcery. Again, not really a big deal. And then it gives you Zafragor, which, yes, he's a good hero, but he is not necessary by any means to win a game. And again, it only buffs your sorcerers by allowing them to use all their spells that they don't specialise in. It could be better. There could be more things that it works with, but sadly, it only works with sorcerers, and because that's your support unit, you're not going to see many of them. You're not going to use it often. It's better to just get the other outposts, which we'll be talking about later. The biggest drawback for the Ered Mithrin Bastion, I think, has to be its price. It's so expensive to get all these different upgrades, and the only cheap unit is the swords unit that has increased speed, which for a faction like the Iron Hills, who get Ram Riders, you don't really need units that have faster movement. Plus, the Mighty Catapult is cool, but 2,500 for one upgrade that can potentially kill one building isn't worth it. I'm sorry, I wish I could rank this higher. The basic Goblin Outpost might seem like a weird fit this down low without the rest of the basic outposts next to it, but the reason I put this one a little bit lower is because it's the exact same design as your camp starts, since the Goblins have the ability to build over the entire map, and also with an outpost, you want to have a building that can, well, with the Goblins in particular, fuel your aggression. This, unfortunately, doesn't fit the bill. You have a much better outpost. As much as I hate to say it, you have got a much better outpost that will just guarantee near victory in almost any condition. So get that one instead of this one, because just build over the entire map. I mean, look at this. You can build it over an entire area of the map with Goblin Town. Why would you want to build a little Moria Outpost that just makes the same units you can get from your castle when you can do some stuff like this? The Lake Town Town Hall kind of has a mix of everything. It does a lot of things okay, but then it doesn't really fall above average. It is definitely below average when it comes to outposts. The units are pretty garbage. The only unit you want to get are the sword unit. The bow and the pike unit have pretty boring and useless abilities. Bard is okay, but again, he's also a hero designed for the outpost units. And again, unless you want these swordsmen that slow down enemies, then just get more dwarves. Just get more dwarves, it's definitely better. Unless, of course, you want to see the man hiding inside the town centre. I mean, come on. Look at that portrait. Look at that beautiful portrait. Get this building if you want it. But if not, I would recommend the basic Dwarven Outpost. It definitely does have more options available to you. I feel like if I talk about this one too much, I'm just kind of repeating myself with Lake Town. So with Dale, I feel like it's exactly the same thing. The units are better overall. The hero is better overall. But it's still just a single building that has very risky implements. It just has resources, recruitment, a healing fountain, a tower. But if you destroy the building, all of it's lost. It just gets all lost, and it does happen quite a lot when the building is that big and that noticeable. It's beautiful, but it is very noticeable. Okay, at number 11 we have basic outposts. The greatest strength of basic outposts is that they're both versatile and strong. They're able to build either just free resource structures, or you can go into pure military. It is absolutely your choice what you do with this. I personally prefer to use outposts as a resource dump. Just get 2,000 gold, throw it all into the outpost, free resource structures, that's all you need. It can be risky building resource dumps like this, because if it's in the middle of the map, the AI might attack it and then you lose all your investment. But if you have an outpost near the back of your base, or at the side of your base where the AI isn't going to pay attention, it's a perfect way to just keep building up those resources so you can transition into the late game faster. Nearly every faction has one of these basic outposts, and it's just a good way to stylize your own way of playing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that all depends upon how you want to use them. Alright, number 10, I've chosen Dol Guldur. Originally, I would have put it a little bit higher, but considering how little the poison does to things nowadays, it's being kept at number 10. It's got some cool unit designs that unfortunately have like bucket heads, but the poison is so minimal these days. And also, the way it says, I've actually kept the HUD up for this so I can actually make sure you read this. Poison weapons can cause more than twice as much damage as ordinary orcs. If it didn't add that ordinary orcs bit, I would have been a bit more happy with it. But considering how little damage orcs actually do, it's such a little buff. It's okay. You got Khemor, you got Castellans, you got cool units from here. But you've got better things as Mordor, at least. You've got to think about what you want when you're considering what you get with these outposts, because they're very expensive as well. Mordor outposts are more expensive than most. At number 9, we have the Dunedain encampment. This one, yes, is pretty much a carbon copy of both Lake Town and Dale, reprinted for the Imladris faction. But unlike both those factions for the dwarves, the Dunedain actually have a more crucial role for Imladris. They're a cheaper unit. They're cheaper units that have pretty much the same versatility, but have really good abilities as well. The Dunedain have speed, which, unlike for the dwarves of Ered Mithrin, actually makes sense, and they stealth. The pikemen really do hamper on enemy cavalry that charge into them, and the archers have unexpected salvos, same as the rangers of Ithilien. So they're basically a tier 1 unit that has a tier 2 unit strength. Everything about it coupled together just makes this a really good building with really good units that also get discounts from the hobbits farms that you can make from settlements. So it just couples up well with a very aggressive early game Imladris. So you can continue to spam out troops while upgrading your buildings in your base to have the most impactful late game. I don't use it a lot personally because I normally don't find an outpost with Imladris, but if I do, 400 resources as well for the base tent. That is the cheapest outpost in the game. That it does mean something, but it doesn't get any higher than that. At number 8, we have the Steelworks. Definitely one of my favourite outposts, personally, but I've kept it a little bit lower because I do recognise that it does have very nuanced abilities. It can generate massive amounts of resources, about triple that of any settlement, although you do need to be careful, it does actually scale down the more buildings you have. If I were to build another settlement building, this would go down to 148 from 152. Small difference, sure, but it does make a difference. Anyway, back to this. It buffs all of your units that have forged blades, heavy armor, and steel bolts. So if you have all 3 of those for all of your Orokai in the late game, you're making them even stronger. You're just making Isengard the most powerful late game faction. Again, very expensive building, very good payoff. But you've got to make sure you get it at a reasonable time, otherwise the upgrade will come up too late and you might already be falling behind. And at number 7, we have the Carn Dum Garrison Tower. Now, I did mention with the Tower of Sorcery that they do have a better option, and this is by far a superior option, especially for the early to mid game, because firstly, you get Carn Dum archers defending the tower, so you have a reasonably strong natural defense. Your men of Carn Dum get recruited 30% faster. That stacks on top of the all the King's Men speed reduction. So there's about half the time for men of Carn Dum gone for recruitment. Plus your men of Carn Dum units are very effective. It is really good. This tower does buff a lot of stuff. And it gives you Helagwyn, another really good mid to late game hero who has AoE damage, freezing abilities, can make some weird walls to protect archers, can give extra vision. She just has it all. Plus Monomarth likes it because, you know, he gets more men of Carn Dum to surround him before he kills them all. But it does obviously kind of fall off a bit when enemy siege just coming to attack it. But still, you definitely want those men of Carn Dum faster, and it is a map-wide buff. Just make one of them, and then you're good to go. You find another outpost, then you build the Tower of Sorcery. And at number 6, we have the Fissure. If this was a ranking on design, style, or utility, I would put it a lot lower by my own personal preference. But I have to recognise the Mountain Giants are the most overpowered unit in the game. They have almost more health than the building they come out of. They can be reduced in cost by the Goblin Town buildings. And the Fissure does one thing, but it does it so well, it's so hard to complain about it constantly. Because, yeah, you get a Mountain Giant defending the base, which can throw stones at people and then clobbers it with its giant feet. It is hard to say that this building is bad. It is really good. It's just, I hate it. I hate this thing with a passion. Okay, looking through my notes, I'm noticing I'm starting to write paragraphs for these. Okay, number 5, the Border Stronghold. We have definitely one of the best outposts in the game here. Because even though it doesn't look nice, it's just the basic fortress from Gondor in Battle for Middle-earth 2 Vanilla. You get the Warriors of Dol Amroth, who buff all melee infantry by a pretty substantial amount. You've got Knights of Dol Amroth, which are hidden behind a hero, but this hero is so much better than Glorfindel. He buffs all fiefdom units by even more. That's what the aura is around the men of Dol Amroth currently. He buffs all of them, including the Knights. The Knights of Dol Amroth are way better at charging through an enemy, running back out of the way, and then coming back into attack again. And Imrahil just makes all of that so much better. And the Border Stronghold has better natural defensive abilities. You've got the banners for extra damage and armor, more archer defenses, boiling oil to destroy any melee infantry in range, better than just giving itself extra increased defenses. And then the House of Healing makes more sense in Gondor compared to Arnor, since Gondor doesn't have a passive healing ability in their power tree. So all in all, pull that all together, and what do you get? A really fun and reliable outpost. Plus, if you use this outpost and just use the Knights of Dol Amroth in a multiplayer game with a bunch of friends, you'll either single-handedly be the reason you lose the game, or you'll be single-handedly the reason why you win the game. I am not joking. I've actually used just the Knights of Dol Amroth in a game with some of my friends before, and I just kept running down everything. And this was against a Rohan who had Siege. and an Angmar who had siege. I helped so much with those knights. At number 4, we have the basic Dwarven Outpost for all 3 Dwarven factions. And before you all come up in arms at me, allow me to explain myself. What makes the basic Dwarven Outpost so much better than most other outposts, especially the 3 outposts you can get specialised for each sub-faction for the Dwarves, is because you can build 3 other structures around your base. They could be heroic statues, hearths or towers, along with the 3 buildings you can normally build. And that just doubles the value of the building. You can build 3 heroic statues and get a massive cost reduction on your heroes. You can build a hearth, so you can heal while doing anything you want in the rest of the base. Or even better, you can do an aggressive power play, take a forward outpost near your enemy's base, and just fill it full of towers. Who can tell me they're going to be able to destroy 6 Dwarven towers, which they can be buffed with forged blades, and then all get archers stuffed into them? There is just nothing they can do about that. They would have to leave that outpost. In fact, it'd probably be better to leave the outpost if you put 6 units of archers in there. It just offers so much versatility for a faction that has already so much versatility. It just gives them... It is so good. It's why I had to put the other 3 special Dwarven outposts so low on the list. Because this outpost gives you so much more. So much more. At number 3, we have the Minas Morgul Fortress. And again, if you had told me at the very beginning of Edain, at edition 4, that this fortress was actually so much better than Dol Guldur, I wouldn't have believed you. However, over time, more factions have been released, new content has been brought out, and when your orcs have heavy armor and are fearless against a lot of factions that have either fear or chop damage, you definitely want that heavy armor. Plus, it's your only way of getting cavalry, which in this siege-centric edition that we're currently at, it just stops most factions from being able to bully you so hard. The Knights of Minas Morgul are so powerful. They just have so much about them that make everything good. Plus, the debuff around the Minas Morgul Fortress helps prevent units from just surrounding it. So you can just come up with your elite orcs and just kill them all. Plus, the Overseers give them a 50% damage boost and only 25% armor, where the Dol Guldur troops only got 25% damage and an extra 50% armor, which doesn't really balance out as well. When what you really want as orcs, since they already die quick enough, is just more damage. You want to be able to kill your enemy before they can kill you. That is Mordor's prime thing. Also, the Witch King. The Witch King of Angmar you get from here. Compare that to Khamûl and then reconsider everything you know. At number 2, in second place, we have the Mirkwood Outpost. Now, I have so much to say about this outpost. It is perfect. It has 4, not just 3, it has 4 build plots, which all generate resources. It has the centre that can get you all these unique elven units, which you may think are exactly the same as your Lorien troops. Then you are dead wrong. The Mirkwood troops are better in almost every way. They lack speed that the elves of Lorien can get when they're in small numbers, but the elves of Mirkwood have superior defences. They already have armour. They can go into formations that can make themselves even tougher. Their archers are just as good as the Lorien archers, if not better, because their Ambush of the Wood Elves ability knocks down enemies. That's right. Your Mirkwood spearmen, your Mirkwood swordsmen, and Mirkwood archers, put them in a cloud, use that ability, turn them green. Anything they hit will get knocked down if it's small enough to get knocked down. You also got Outriders, which are kind of the one weakness of this building. But if you get enemies going like full cav, build this unit defended by pikes as your archer units, and the cav will die. The cav will just die. Whatever health they have, they will die. Also, Thranduil and Legolas, 2 really important heroes in a faction that has a very limited number of heroes out of their base fortress. The Mirkwood Outpost is everything you want and more. A tad expensive, yes, but it is worth the price. Especially if you can keep the base protected, which it can do by itself as well. It can plant archers on every troop chamber you build. You can plant your court guards, Thranduil special guards around every throne of the king. You've got wine cellars, so you can heal and replenish your troops at will, which is a lot better than what Lorien basically gets. So it's just this building is everything you need. It would be at number 1 if number 1 weren't even better. And at number 1, I have put Rohan's Exile Camp / King's Camp. This outpost, despite being quite small, quite easily destroyed, is by far the best outpost the Edain Mod ever made. It didn't come out originally with Rohan. Rohan only had the basic outpost to start with, which made them quite weak. The Exile Camp and King's Camp was the perfect addition to a faction that just had been given so much flavour in just one outpost. If you can build this outpost and keep it around for the entire game, the enemy is going to wonder how they lost, because it just gives so much. You get from the Exile Camp. We'll start from the Exile Camp. You get 3 units called Rohan Exiles, which are basically your Rohan cavalry unit, your basic Rohan cavalry units, but they get recruited like 3 times as fast, 4 times as fast maybe. And then you also get a scout that can perceive stealth units and moves around really quickly because it's on a horse. You can also, while it's still the Exile Camp, recruit Eomer, even if Theoden is still cursed. So that's a nice little thing you've got there. But then you can spend 1,000 on top of the 800 you already spent to build the King's Camp, in which case you then get the Royal Vanguard unit. A unit that is, again, exactly the same as the Rohan Exiles, but is free of command points, no command point cost. So you just get free units if you've got the money for it, which is, again, really, really good. You've just doubled your cavalry numbers without even needing to build a stables. And that doesn't even come close to what all these other things are. So let's actually have a look. You can build a unit here called Rohan Captains. You can have an unlimited number of Rohan Captains. As long as you've got command points, you can make these captains. We also get 3 sub-heroes, 3 mini-heroes. Erkenbrand, who, if he uses ability, can summon a unit of the unit you choose for him. Elfhelm, who replenishes entities when he uses ability. Or Grimbold, who can move even faster. And those are all 3 of them back there. And then again, captains, you get 3 different choices for them and the 3 sub-heroes. You get either your swordsmen, which do more damage to pikes on base. You have your pikes, which just slow down enemies even more with the porcupine formation if you need to. And then you've got their cav, which if you put them into melee, you can pop their ability. They gain more armor against basic attacks. It just makes them so good. It makes a faction that had no late game have one of the best late games, with Theoden just glorious charging, running in, killing everything. I cannot sing enough praises about this outpost. Its one weakness is that it is a small and quite weak building. But other than that, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. If it wasn't small and weak, it would be too strong. Let's just put it that way. If it weren't for that one weakness, it would be too strong and it'll get nerfed down into oblivion. It is the perfect outpost. If you can build this, the enemy will want to destroy it before you can build it into a king's camp, because then you've just won. If you've got resources, you've won. Let's just put it that way. I have won so many games with just the Exile camp units alone. I build my base just full of stud farms if I can get an early Exile camp, because then all that cavalry I make is cheaper. The cavalry upgrade, in fact, gets a discount from how many stud farms you have. You can bring it down to a really good amount, and then you could just use all the cavalry in your disposal unhindered. It is so good. I wish I could say more about it, but I'm just rambling now. So yeah, that is the Rohan Exile Camp and King's Camp. If you ever play as Rohan, find an outpost, build it. It is so much fun. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video, for anyone that's still watching. I definitely enjoyed making it. There's definitely a lot of things that people are going to contradict me on. They're saying like, oh, this outpost could do something better than this, or this and this and this. But this is just using my years of experience, and I'm trying to keep unbiased with some of them. But there are some things that just really don't sit well with me sometimes. I mean, putting the Fissure at 6th place was really turning my stomach just thinking about it. But it was me being honest. I know how I've seen how powerful all of these outposts are in their own degrees, and I've honestly used some of them more than others in the past. I've actually hated some of those outposts in the past. I actually said don't build Mirkwood in the past, but that is a long ago past now. And again, Minas Morgul, I used to use Dol Guldur more because I like the units more with the poison. But over the years, I have found Minas Morgul just generates more results, and that's why I've honestly put them up there. But anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.